Well, the Doklam standoff might have been resolved. However, India and China's relations look very frayed at this point. I have with me in Kathmandu in a special edition of Periscope the former Nepal PM, Dr. Baburam Bhattarai. Nobody better than him to talk about India and China. He is studied in India. He is, of course, a Maoist ideologue. So he would be the best person to give us a perspective on the India-China relations and where Nepal fits in that situation. Our viewers who are watching us live, please do send us your questions. Dr. Bhattarai will be very, very happy to answer them for us. Sir, if you can begin by telling us about the historical context of the India-China relations. How they were and where do you see them now?
Nepal has been historically talked of as being a sandwich between two big boulders.
Right.
It was said by Prithviraj Shah, who created the modern state of Nepal. This is the general perception in Nepal, but while in the Maoist movement, I personally try to change it. So things have changed. China has changed, India has changed, and now Nepal also must change. Nepal should no longer take it as a inanimate boulder between two huge boulders. But Nepal should convert itself as a vibrant bridge between these two huge economic oceans. So this was the new perception I wanted to create on India, Nepal and China relations. And for this, we wanted China and India won't take a confrontationist path at least for a few decades.
Right.
Though China has become the second largest economy and India also is trying to follow it, and it is generally said 21st century will be the century of Asia, and these two powers, India and China, will be leading the Asian century.
Right.
And for that, I think they still have to travel a lot. Though China is far ahead of India, but still China, having its huge population, its per capita income, makes it still a middle income country.
Right.
So that way it will be good for China to make peace with its neighbors and concentrate on economic development, and same thing would apply to India.
But how can they diffuse the tensions, sir, given that it became a high-pitched, really particularly from China's side, a high-pitched battle with India at the Doklam, when the Doklam standoff happened. So how can they diffuse tensions?
So that's, I'm coming to that. So my guess was, at least for a few decades or at least 10 years or so, India and China will have a cooperative relations, though they have a competitive dimension to their relations. Still, for their own benefit, they won't take to a confrontation, at least for a few years. But this has happened, at least for me, very unexpectedly. The regional dynamics seems to have changed. Maybe China, with its OBOR policy, tried to move towards South Asia much ahead than anticipated, so that must have antagonized India. Or the Western powers, especially the US, must have pushed or cajoled India to join its camp to confront China. I don't know the actual thing. Both sides took a confrontationist path, and the Doklam stand-up took place.
Right.
But fortunately, this is over now. We are happy. For Nepal, a confrontation between the two huge neighbors won't benefit us. In fact, it will create a huge problem for us.
Right.
So that's why we wanted to avoid it. So if this happens again, it will
Cause for
have an adverse impact on Nepal,
Right.
and we wish both our neighbors would avoid that.
Right. Well, before I ask Dr. Bhattarai the next question, I would like to apologize to our viewers for these shaky visuals. We are on a selfie stick approach, so please bear with us on that count. Sir, really, now that Nepal is sandwiched between these two countries, we've seen how Bhutan also, of course, in the Doklam standoff, became sandwiched between China and India. How do you view that? Do you think that gives Nepal the leverage to play both sides because it's important for both sides, or does it become a negative factor really because it doesn't know which side to which part to side with and what to do?
No, we don't want to play one neighbor against the other. That won't benefit us. Though Nepalese rulers in the past have tried to do that, but ultimately the country and the people of Nepal suffered. So we want good relation with both the neighbors, and if there is peace and stability in the neighborhood, that will create an environment for functioning democracy and going on the path of development and prosperity. So this Doklam incident has shocked Nepal. We don't know actually what happened there, but if two neighbors fight over Bhutan,
Right.
then the corollary is they may fight over Nepal in the days to come.
So that is a fear. That is a
So
legitimate fear in the region.
the legitimate fear is there in Nepal.
Right.
Right now in western Nepal, the Lipu Lake area, which has been historically with Nepal, but it was handed over to India in 1965 by the then King Mahendra.
Right.
So in that tri-junction, same Doklam like incident can recur.
Right.
So that's we want to avoid that, and I hope our leaders in Nepal and our friends both in India and China would avoid it.
Right. So Nepal signed a treaty with India in 1950. That treaty has not been revised till now. You have, of course, pushed for revision of that treaty. The treaty with Bhutan has been revised, but not with Nepal. Do you think such treaties put you at a disadvantage in terms of how you're able to conduct business with China, how you're able to deal with China?
Not with China. In fact, this treaty has been outdated.
Right.
It is not to the benefit of India as well as Nepal.
Right.
It is in the best interest of both the countries to revise this treaty. So that's why we have been pushing for that. And when I was the Prime Minister, I floated the idea of eminent persons group.
Right.
And that has been constituted, and both sides are talking over it. And I think soon we'll be able to reach some agreement and revise this treaty.
Right. So, since you're talking about the time when you were Prime Minister, can you give us some snippets about the kind of conversations you perhaps had with India on China? What did India expect from Nepal on the China front? Were there any instructions given, or was there any kind of conversation that you can recall?
No, we didn't have this overt mention of China.
Right.
Because generally it doesn't happen in diplomatic
Right.
talks, but informal talks with people, we used to get general hint. The major concern of India is the security concern.
Right.
So that means this bridging the barrier of Himalayas
Right.
from China. Naturally, Nepal has always assured India and China, both have their security sensibilities.
Right.
So we have always assured our territory won't be allowed to be used against both of our neighbors,
Right.
neither India nor China.
Right.
So this assurance we have given, and I remember repeating this assurance during
Right.
my tenure as well.
Right. So we actually had a viewer question as well. This was about how Nepal has maintained a neutral position during the Doklam crisis. Do you think Nepal should have done that? What is your comment on it?
No, of course we had no option. We had to maintain that type of neutrality. But if I were not in the government, or if people were not in the government, what I would say is we could advise both our neighbors to restrain themselves, because Nepal is the current chair of the SARC and
Right.
BIMSTEC as well. Given the two big neighbors were fighting over a territory of a small neighbor Bhutan,
Right.
so as a landlocked country, Nepal should have advised both our neighbors to keep away from the dispute of a small neighbor like Bhutan and
Right.
Nepal.
Right. We have just had a viewer question, sir, from @Manoj Dohari, who wants to know who has better relations with China, with Nepal, India or China. That's a tricky question.
I think so far, I think both have good relations with Nepal, but we have to deal with more with India. You see, we are geographically, historically, culturally tilted toward, economically tilted toward India. So
Right.
we have to deal more with India. Whenever you have deal more, then we are more problem. You see, we
Right.
have less interaction with China, less linkages, less connectivity, and so less problem with China.
Right.
So in that sense, we have closer relations with India, and we have more problem with India. I think that's quite natural.
Right. So you were also, I'll bring you back to domestic politics of Nepal for a bit. You were the head of the Constitution Drafting Committee. We know that Madhes, the Tarai region, was unhappy with the Constitution. Recently, an attempt to pass an amendment failed. Do you think Nepal is now destined to live with this tension between the hills and the plains? Do you see any resolution in sight?
No, it is very unfortunate this difference has been created between the hill and the plains. In fact, what I have been telling all these years is Nepal is not a difference between hill and plains. In
Right.
Nepal, in fact, we have three groups of nationalities.
Right.
The Madhesi Tharu, the Mongoloid Adivahi Janjatis and the Khas Arya. These three clusters of nationalities have 1/3 population each.
Right.
So the problem is the Nepali state has been ruled by the Khas
Right.
Aryan nationalities for the last 200 years.
Right.
And even the hill Mongoloid group, Janjati group, they are oppressed, and Madhesi Tharus also are oppressed.
Right.
In that sense, the ruling elite, the Khasari elite, has very conveniently created this divide between hill and Tarai, and that shouldn't have happened. And a section of extremist element in Madhesi also, they just try to create this hill plain divide.
Right.
So this is not correct. The genuine aspiration of the Madhesi Tharus and the Adivasi Janjatis who have been oppressed by the dominant Khasari nationalities over the years, that needs to be corrected. And in the new constitution, we wanted to give full autonomy and their identity to these oppressed nationalities.
Right.
Though in principle it was enshrined in the constitution, but while demarcating the provincial boundaries, we failed. So
Right.
this is still, this needs to be corrected. Though the current parliament has failed to do that, I think in the future this issue will come again, and sooner or later
Right.
this will be resolved.
Right. Okay, we have another viewer question. This is from @Mrs. RTT. What role, sir, did you play in correcting the flawed foreign policies while you were in government? This is for you. As Prime Minister, what role did you play in correcting flawed foreign policies of Nepal?
So I floated this idea of Nepal as a vibrant bridge between India and China.
Right.
So when the Chinese Prime Minister Wen Jiabao visited Nepal, I raised this issue. He appreciated, and he told me in the one-to-one talk, and when we had a group meeting with the, other leaders, that time also he repeated, this is a good idea, but you should have good relation with India. This is what the Chinese Prime Minister said. Because you have to deal more with India, so you should not antagonize India, but we are ready to subscribe to this concept of vibrant bridge.
Right.
But this same thing I try to convey to our friends in India. Unfortunately, there has not been a concession on this in India. A section of people seem to be quite sympathetic to this idea, and the another section is not still reconciled to it.
Right.
So I wish our friends in India will realize that Nepal never can go against India, because historically, geographically, we are linked more closely with India. We have to live with, we are basically part of South Asia. But unfortunately, there have been some unequal treaties imposed by the old regime and the colonial legacy of the British days are still there.
Right.
If that is corrected,
Right.
that would improve relation between India and China, and these irritants which keep recurring,
Right.
that could be done away with. This is my advice to our friends in India.
Right. Sir, I have another viewer question. This is from Rahul says, what about Nepal's relationship with Pakistan?
We have very less interaction with Pakistan. Though we have formal diplomatic relations, we have very less trade relations. That way, Pakistan generally doesn't come in the picture.
Right.
So being a part of South Asia, member of SAARC region, we have good relations, but we don't have much interaction, whether economically or otherwise, with Pakistan.
Right. Well, I have a slightly unusual question from another viewer who wants to know whether Nepal also follows fake godmen or babas like India does. This, I suppose, is in the context of the recent controversy about Gurmeet Ram Rahim in India.
Yeah, this is an interesting question. But I am very happy we don't have such babas in Nepal. And generally, people in Nepal have been duped by such fake babas of India. But in Nepal, our Hinduism is not that heavily entrenched. So that way, we have very less incidents like this in Nepal.
Right. So, what would you say about the current relationship between the government of Nepal at this point and the government of India, which is the government under Prime Minister Narendra Modi?
Now, I think relations, we have had a normal relation in the past, especially during immediately after the promulgation of the constitution, when the Tarai Madhis movement was going on, and India seemed to support the Madhisi movement, and they applied economic blockade against Nepal. So that created a heavy backlash in the hilly regions.
Right.
So that way the relations were sour, but now I think they have been corrected. I think now even the Indian side realized that was a mistake. To apply economic blockade was not a good policy. There are other ways of sympathizing with the cause of democratic and the inclusive cause in Nepal.
Right.
I think now this has been corrected, and I don't think any lingering big problem is there.
Right. So I'll ask you one last question very quickly because I know we are running out of time and you have a busy schedule. Are you worried about a push for turning Nepal into a Hindu state again?
Yeah, such rumors are there. A section in India is pushing for this in Nepal, but I don't think Nepal being a very secular state and large non-Hindu nationalities, these Adivasi Janjatis, Mongoloid groups who are basically Buddhist and follow their own religion, and we don't have that type of very dogmatic hardline Hindutva in Nepal.
Right.
And so I don't think this agenda of Hindutva will ever fructify in Nepal.
Right. Well, that was Dr. Bhattarai with us in Kathmandu. He spoke at length about India-China relations and how Nepal fits into that. He also told us how it's in Nepal's best interest to have India and China smooth out their friction, to smooth out all the differences. He also at the end said that there is a certain worry that there are sections in India which is trying to push Nepal towards becoming a Hindu state again, but Nepal of course is resilient, as he said. Thank you so much for watching and thank you for sending in so many of your questions. Also, thank you once again for not minding the shaky visuals that you saw. Thank you so much.
They know so little about our politics.